Imagine that you are a young boy in colonial America, and the sky goes dark for hours at a time, and you look up and see thousands of birds. This bird is called the passenger pigeon. The passenger pigeon flocks up to a mile wide and up to 300 miles long, and they are so dense that they darken the sky for hours or even days as the flock passes overhead. Population estimates from the 19th century range from 1 billion to close to 4 billion individuals. Today, there are no more population estimates because the settlers destroyed the land for homes and businesses. The last passenger pigeon named Martha died alone at the Cincinnati Zoo at about 1 p.m. on September 1st, 1914. Now all you can do is imagine this because the passenger pigeon is now extinct because we did not have land set aside for them. Slide on, please. Now imagine that you are walking down a narrow trail and you come across a grizzly bear that is swatting at fish to feed her 2 cubs. This wonderful sight almost did not happen because 40 years ago the grizzly bear almost went extinct. Because the land had been preserved, but did not because we had land that was preserved for them in parks called Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park. Slide off, please. I have seen many types of wildlife while hiking in Yellowstone National Park, Rocky Mountain National Park, and the Badlands National Park. And I have seen a lot of these animals that would have gone extinct, but did not because we had preserved land. I was interested in researching this topic, and I spent many hours reading about this problem. My purpose in speaking to you today is to persuade you to support efforts to preserve lands like we have done in national parks. Now, I would like to speak about a couple of national parks and how they preserve land for certain animals that would have gone extinct. I want to tell you about the Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, the Badlands National Park in South Dakota, and Yellowstone National Park that's in Montana. There are many reasons why these national parks are important, but today I'm going to speak about how they provide a safe place for wildlife to live. Yellowstone National Park was our nation's first national park. It has 2,219,791 acres set aside for the animals. An animal that you might find there is probably a grizzly bear. In 1967, it was listed as threatened, and in 1975, there were 136 grizzly bears left in Yellowstone. Currently, there are 580 grizzly bears there today, and they will be off the threatened list soon. The next national park I'm going to talk about is a park that 3 million visitors visit each year. This park is called the Rocky Mountain National Park, and it has 265,825.14 acres for the animals to roam around. Some of the animals you might find there in the Rocky Mountains might be a moose. In 1978, there were 74 moose transferred from Wyoming to the Rocky Mountain National Park, and in 1994, there were 700 moose in the Rocky Mountain National Park. Another animal you might find would be a bighorn sheep. The Rocky Mountain Park is being used to preserve the bighorn sheep. Parts of the park are closed during the bighorn lambing season to protect the animals. The Badlands of South Dakota are not bad to the animals that live there, but it is important to several threatened and endangered species. Badlands National Park has 242,755.94 acres set aside for the animals. Slide on, please. This animal in this picture is called the black-hooded bear. It is considered the most endangered mammal in North America. In 1979, they were thought to be extinct, but in 1980, 1985, they found that only 18 ferrets were alive in North America. And in 1995, there were 36 ferrets released in the park from a captive breeding program. Slide off, please. The black-footed ferret would not have a chance if we did not preserve land, if we did not have the Badlands National Park. Another animal you might find there is the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. It was reintroduced into the Badlands Park. And in 1964, there were 22 Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep brought to the park from Colorado. And in 1992, there were 150 animals in the park. The Badlands and the Rocky Mountain parks have been very important in keeping the bighorn sheep from going extinct. And also, the last animal you will find in the Badlands would be a bison. It is the largest and most dominant plant grazer. And there are 450 bison in the Badlands. So what they did was they took 180 of those and shipped them off to new homes outside the park. Everything we have talked about shows the success of preserving land, but there is still work to be done. Much of the parks have homes and farms built around the outside of the park, so the animals can't use as much of the land. An example of this would be Hot Springs National Park, which is its name with the town it was built on. Because of a loophole in the law, people are allowed to build homes in the middle of the park. This prevents the animals from using the park. Also, in some areas of the country where there are no parks, animals have a hard time finding places to live. An example of this would be the Tallgrass Prairie. It used to cover 140 million acres of land in the United States. Now, only 4% of it remains in the United States. We need a national park in Tallgrass Prairie to preserve the species that live there. And there are some areas of the country where land is preserved but is threatened to have the land taken away. An example of this would be the Arctic National Wild Refuge, which is home to many animals. Birds come there, migrate before returning to start a new cycle of life. It is home to a grizzly bear, wolves, wolverines, oxen, polar bears, and many more. We can't let the government take away these animals' homes and destroy their habitat by drilling for oil. So in conclusion, I encourage each one of you to support the idea of preserving land for wildlife in the United States. Get involved, visit a park, volunteer, make a donation, work with the National Park Preservation Programs. I would like to end my speech with a quote by America's most famous conservationist, Aldo Leopold. We abuse land because we regard it as belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect. Thank you.